Cue the music, cue the two lights on Jacksonville's fifth best YouTube channel, also the poorest one. This is Jaggin Out with Sean Fitzpatrick celebrating the Jags' victory against the Broncos. I called it earlier this week in my preview video. Go and check that one out on my channel. But I called that the Jags were going to go in. And if you haven't seen this movie, kids, put your earmuffs on. Earmuffs, if any children are watching this. I thought it was going to be like the plot of the never-ending story where that fucking horse, which is the Broncos, just sank and sank and sank. Just like the horse Atreyu, which was Sean Payton, was trying to get the horse to not lose hope. I forget, it was some bullshit, the plot of that movie, like the sadness overwhelmed the horse. Well, the sadness overwhelmed the Broncos, and that horse was just sinking, because the Jaguars were gnawing that fucker to death. We were in there. Trevor Lawrence was slinging the ball. Our defense was holding Bo Nix, who's a pretty damn good quarterback. I'll give him his flowers. But just like the horse in the never-ending story, he lost faith. He entered the sadness, and they sunk into the fucking mud. And we wiped their nose in it too. And it sank, and they died. We beat the Broncos at home. This is every Jaguar on that team. I'm not going to say a bad word about anyone. I mean, even try to refrain about saying something bad about Brian Thomas Jr., who single-handedly sunk my fantasy football team this year. It's part of the reason why I'm broke and why my cat is upset too, meowing in the background, is because I can't afford to feed her because I spent all my money on fantasy football and invested countless money on Brian Thomas Jr. But every Jaguar, including Brian Thomas Jr., should be proud of the way they played today. Going into the Broncos in the Mile High Stadium, when the Broncos were riding an 11-game winning streak, no team has beat that team at home this year. The Jaguars were the first to do that. That's a hell of an accomplishment. So we're going to go over that, and we sunk that little pony, just like we sunk the Colts, just like we sunk the Chargers. That little pony's down in the mud, and we're going to go over it today in the Jaggin Out, Jacksonville's fifth best YouTube show. Like I said, I'm not very good at analyzing football. I just put together a slideshow and banter. So here we go. Let's jump right into it. So we're going to go over a Jags versus Broncos post game. We're going to go over by the stats. We're going to go over Trevor Watch. We're going to go over the Jag of the week. If you're not familiar with the Trevor Watch, it's how we evaluate him as a player and where he's at in his development. We're going to go over Jag of the week, who was the best Jaguar on the team this week against the Broncos. We're going to go over the turd of the week. The turd of the week is the most disappointing Jaguar in this week's affair against the Broncos, which I have a surprise for that one. You'll like this. Lastly, we're going to go over the Buckman Bridge Watch, which the Buckman Bridge Watch, if you're not familiar with Jacksonville or the local area, there's a bridge. It's called the Buckman Bridge. It separates the shitty side of Jacksonville, or the poor side of Jacksonville, from where I live at and the nice side of Jacksonville, where I don't live at, where Trevor Lawrence probably lives at, where all these players live at. And oftentimes when we're driving over the bridge back from the football game, because I have to pick up my son in the nice area, I'm usually tired. I'm usually hungover. Or drunk, and I'm pissed off because the Jags lose, and I tell my wife to pull over the car just because I feel like jumping off that Buckman Bridge. But I haven't had those feelings this year, and we're going to go over where I'm at with my likelihood of jumping off the Buckman Bridge for the rest of the season. So let's jump right into it. Jagging Out, home of Jacksonville's fifth best local Jags coverage, and I'm going to start off by saying today was one of the greatest moments of my life. It ranks up there with the birth of my son. You can see here on the left. That was probably the greatest moment of my life, probably the happiest day of my life. A close second was the first time I saw my wife naked. She's a super hottie. I'm just lucky and blessed that she lets me enter her kingdom once a week if I'm lucky. She's just a queen. Everything about her is beautiful. She has nice skin. She has nice eyes. She has great hair. Her overall appearance is immaculate, just like the Jaguars offense and just like Trevor Lawrence's hair. If there's a hierarchy of hair in Jacksonville, it would be my wife, number one, and then Trevor Lawrence is slightly below that. It's hard to compete with that man's mane, and the way that he's playing just makes that hair look even better, even more illustrious. And then today ranks up with all those three moments. So that's the Jaguars right here on the right. They're mutilating this Bronco. As you can see, this Bronco is just getting chewed to death, just like the Broncos at home at Mile High Stadium, and all their fans are probably going home and crying. And they're still, no one in the national media is going to give us any credit for this win, which is fine. We like it that way. Jacksonville always flies under the radar. I liked in Liam Cohen's press conference, he said they thrive on getting no respect, and I hope it stays like that. The national media will make up some bullshit saying, the Jags aren't any good or Trevor Lawrence isn't any good, which is fine. We don't need their support. We're just going to lie in the weeds like Rambo. I don't know if you've ever seen Rambo First Blood, but for whatever the reason, I know I'm getting off track, but Rambo First Blood, basically the plot of Rambo First Blood was he went into this hick town, which you could consider Mile High Stadium and Denver, and essentially just think of Rambo as the Jags, and for whatever the reason, someone decided to pick on or mess with Rambo, even though he was a Vietnam veteran and had the coup of many of his enemies underneath his belt. He probably scalped some people in Vietnam, but these backwards hick people of the town, which was, we're just going to say in this scenario, was the Denver Broncos, decided to fuck with Rambo, and he basically said they drew first blood, and he just fucked up that whole city. That's kind of what the Jaguars did to the Broncos, and that's what's going on in this picture. Just think of Rambo. He just pops his head up like this, and he just ends up killing all the people in that town. That was going on in the plot of that movie, and that's what went on in Sunday. The Jags just totally took him out, and we put them to bed. The Broncos are a good team. There's no doubting that. Bo Nix is a good quarterback. I mean, I don't know if he got sacked all day. That guy's squirrely as shit. He reminds me at my prom, or at my which I didn't attend. I don't even know why I said that. That's a bad example. No girls wanted to go with me to prom. Big shocker there. But that reminds me at homecoming, circa 2003. I was squirrely as shit, just trying to get any girl to dance with me, and that's like Bo Nix. He was dodging everyone, kind of like girls were dodging me at homecoming in 2023. So he's a good quarterback, and he can sling the rock too. And the Jaguars did a damn good job stopping that guy. But let's continue. That one of the best moments of my life was my son being born, my wife getting the opportunity to lay with her and seeing her naked for the first time, and then today the Jaguars totally mutilating that Bronco. So good job, Jags. And there's my Trevor Lawrence helmet. I got the Ravens game on the background here versus the Patriots. That has some playoff implications, which we'll get into as well. All right, so we're going to start off where we always start off. What do all these images have in common? You see that's Morpheus from the movie The Matrix, which if you haven't seen that movie, it's a great sci-fi flick from the 90s. Check it out. That's Trevor Lawrence, William Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville Jesus right there with his flowing hair. If you didn't catch my video last week, this is Zachary Baker, we'll say his name is. I work with this gentleman. He's a so-called Oakland Raiders fans. They moved. He's a so-called Las Vegas Raiders fan. He's a closeted Jags fan, and I want to reiterate, there's nothing wrong with being in the closet, or there's nothing wrong with being homosexual or being gay. I celebrate all sexes, races, diversities, but you need to admit and come clean with who you are. Get out of the closet, which he really needs to do. He's a closeted Jags fan, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Just, you should embrace who you are. Don't be afraid to be your true self. But I digress. And also, this gentleman on the right smiling with the beer, his name is Shane Wirt. He's one of my best friends, if not my greatest friend I've ever had. He loves beer. He has a great beard, which I don't have. I'm growing out this shit stash. But he's also another individual that is a closeted Jags fan. He claims that he's a Green Bay Packers fan, but he's definitely way in the closet when it comes to being a Jags fan. But anyways, what do all these images have in common? You have Morpheus from The Matrix, you have William Trevor Lawrence, you have Zachary Baker, and then you have my friend Shane Wirt. So what do all these images have in common? And let's flip over. So they are all beginning to believe, and he is the one. So if you haven't seen the plot of The Matrix, it's very convoluted. I'm not going to get into it. It's a sci-fi flick, and you had this guy. He's basically like the science fiction Jesus in that movie, just like Trevor Lawrence is the Jacksonville Jesus, and everyone's beginning to believe he's the one. He's the one that's going to bring freedom to Jacksonville, maybe even bring us to a Super Bowl. So, and kind of where I'm coming at with this is these two closeted fans, they're beginning to believe as well. Here's a text message I got from Zachary Baker. So this individual has stolen my Trevor Lawrence jersey. I let him borrow it because he wanted to go to a Jags game this year. He's actually been to more Jaguars games than me. So he still claims he's a Las Vegas Raiders fan. That's fine. But he even sent me this picture today. So after the Jaguars won today, he said he can return my jersey because he actually went out and bought himself a Trevor Lawrence jersey. That's him with the Trevor Lawrence jersey. I'm not sure why he's flicking me off. Maybe he saw my previous video and he was upset. But like I said, he's beginning to believe that Trevor Lawrence is the one. And he got himself a Trevor Lawrence jersey. No one bought him this gift. He's going to claim, I know, after watching this video, that one of his loved ones, whether it was his girlfriend, his parents, etc., maybe the dog in the picture he'll claim bought him this jersey, but it's absolutely him. He went out and bought that. He actually looks like he went to Walmart and he didn't even get a legit one, which is poor form on you. You should get a legit jersey and support the team that you're following religiously, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know this man, like he claims he's a Las Vegas Raiders fan. You know this man was watching the Jags game during the 4 o'clock window, even though the Raiders were playing the Texans, which I actually wished the Raiders would have beat the Texans. The Texans are sorry as fuck. I hate those fans, but the Raiders, they couldn't muster the effort to, even beat the Texans and do me a favor. But we stole a fan from you, Raiders, and that's my boy Zachary Baker, who I work with, who I'll keep him anonymous unless he wants me to display his picture. He's not quite ready to proudly confess he's a Jags fan, but you should be who you are, dude. There's nothing wrong with being a Jags fan. And then the last image over here is from my friend Shane Wirt. So this guy has been the biggest closeted Jags fan probably in the history of closeted Jags fans. He's always traditionally been a Jaguar hater. He'll say like nasty stuff about Trevor Lawrence or the Jaguars. He even had the audacity to draft Trevor Lawrence in like the 6th round of our fantasy draft, which I don't know if he did to spite me, but now I'm just thinking that he did it because he has a crush on Trevor Lawrence, which is fine. That is fine. He's an attractive man. I get it, bro. And at the end of the day, he's a Jags fan. He even sent me this, and this wasn't even... This text message, I wish I had a timestamp at it. This was during the second quarter of the game, where the Jags didn't even have this game won, but he wrote, "I don't know, bro. Jags might be Super Bowl worthy." And then I wrote immediately, "Stop it." Because I'm not going to say this team's a Super Bowl team. I'm realistic. Like, they're playing some great football, but he had the audacity to send me a Lombardi trophy. This guy is a Jags fan. You know what? I will give you one. I will even think about giving you my prized possession, which let me get it in here. Where is it? Where's the autograph on it? This is my autographed Trevor Lawrence helmet. I think about giving the number one Jags fan, which is my friend Shane Wirt, my Trevor Lawrence helmet. If you just admit you're a Jags fan, I'll let you have it. I can always get another one. Just the satisfaction of you admitting you're a Jags fan. You're not a Packers fan anymore. You're a Jags fan. So at the end of the day, they are all beginning to believe, just like Morpheus in The Matrix. He was beginning to believe, and then he said that Neo was the one. Trevor Lawrence is the one. He's going to bring unity to the Jags. He might bring us a Super Bowl. So, all right, now let's jump into by the stats. So we kicked the shit out of the Broncos. It kind of reminded me of the fight that was on Friday night, which was Jake Paul versus what's his name? Anthony Joshua. AJ, I think his name is. I don't watch much boxing, and I probably couldn't analyze the fight, but Jake Paul was on his knees most of the fight, just like the Broncos were on their knees most of the today. And then eventually, Jake Paul, he hung in there during the fight, but eventually AJ just freaking gave him a right hand from hell. And that's what the Jaguars did to the Broncos. They just eventually had enough of them and just gave him a right hand from hell. We ended up beating the Broncos' ass. 34-20 was the final score. Trevor Lawrence, he had a great day. My God, this guy's playing out of his mind. He was 23 of 36 for 279 yards passing. He had 3 touchdowns, which doesn't even include the rushing touchdown that he had. So that's 4 total touchdowns for Trevor. He had, what did he have last week? He had 5 total touchdowns, and he had 4 this week. I know last week the pundits would say some bullshit like it was against the Jets. That's why Trevor Lawrence had a good game. But what are they going to say this week? No one's beat the Broncos at home. Even the Broncos, they've been hyped up as the best defense in the NFL. These guys were leading the league in sacks, which they did get theirs today. They had 5 sacks against the Jaguars. But what are pundits going to say now? Like, Trevor Lawrence went out there and balled again. And then you can see passing yards again for Bo Nix. He was 28 of 47. He had 352 yards passing. He had 1 TD and 1 interception. Bo Nix is a good quarterback. I was watching that guy play, and you can see the talent is there. The Jaguars couldn't get to that guy. Like I said, he was moving around, kind of like girls avoiding me during my homecoming in 2023. He just had the moves. We couldn't get to him. Josh Hines-Allen tried his damnedest. Trayvon Walker, he tried to. He had a pretty good game. Even though it didn't show up in the stats, he was very disruptive. But Bo Nix, he avoided them, like the clap on 103rd Street. Avoid that shit. But Bo Nix, he's a baller. He has some talent. Rushing yards, ETN, he was a little quiet. He made plays when he had to. He had that receiving touchdown, which he's really developing as a viable threat in the receiving game. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep that guy. He might become a free agent, and some team like the Dallas Cowboys or some bullshit like that will throw a maker contract at him, but he's a very good running back. I will surely miss him if we can't re-sign him. Please, ETN, come back next year. This team is like legit loaded on offense. We're really humming, and you're a big reason why. Much love, brother. He had 16 carries for 50 yards, but he had that receiving touchdown. RJ Harvey. So in my preview video, I called this guy a bum, and I was wrong. This guy's not a bum. He's actually a pretty good ball player. I don't even know if this is correct, but he had 7 carries for 50 yards. I think he had some receiving yards too and a touchdown. He was very productive, and he's a pretty good running back. That was terrible English, but he's a pretty darn good running back. Maybe I might pick him up in fantasy next year. He certainly would be better than BTJ. And I did a pretty good job of not ripping on BTJ, but you single-handedly sunk my fantasy football team. I'm still pretty upset about you. But RJ Harvey, my apologies. You can ball, my dude. Parker Washington, he had a great game. I don't know where this guy's at with his contract. I want to do a video at the end of the season and talk about who we should re-sign and who we should extend and who we should get rid of. Parker Washington is a guy that you have to keep. This guy, he might be our 3rd wide receiver on the team, but he could be a lot of teams too. Even he could probably be a 1 on some shitty team like the Jets. He balls. Every time he gets the ball, he's so dangerous after the catch. I don't know if he's overly fast or if he's just quick twitched, but he always makes plays, and he had a great game. 6 receptions for 145 yards and 1 touchdown. He had a great game. Courtland Sutton. I don't know how the fuck to pronounce her name. He had a pretty good game too. I also called this man a bum, so I owe him an apology. He had a pretty damn good game. The Broncos are a good football team, and we just beat a really good football team. And congratulations to the Jaguars. That's by your stats. Let's jump into a little bit more offensive stats. Trevor Lawrence, we'll get into him in a minute. Rushing, ETN, he had a decent day at the office. 16 carries, 50 yards, 3.1 average. He had a long of 24. Like I said with ETN, he was there when we needed him. And Trevor Lawrence, once again, this guy is proving that he's one of the most dynamic quarterbacks throwing now and with his feet. I love that he's a willing rusher. Whenever he starts running, you never know what the fuck's going to happen. He just kind of looks like Bambi on ice, just kind of running around, but I love it, and he always gets yards. He was so clutch, too, in the fourth quarter where we needed a first down, and he was kind of like heading towards the sideline. I'm going to try to find a video clip of this. It might be tough, but he was heading towards the sideline, and I don't know if the guy like missed him or whatnot, but he needed like an extra yard, and he did kind of like a dolphin flop, I want to call it, or like he reminded me of Free Willy jumping over that fucking rock. He just did like a little jump ski at the end. It was great. I'm going to find a video clip of that because it's worth it. Trevor Lawrence is a dog. We'll get into him in a minute. Receiving, Parker Washington was the man today. 6 receptions for 145. Long of 63 yards. He had a touchdown. Jacoby Myers, he had a little bit of a quiet day, but he catches everything that comes at him. Sort of like I said in my last video. He's like Mia Khalifa in her prime. She just catches everything that's coming at her. It's incredible. I've never seen someone catch the ball or catch everything that's coming at him like Jacoby Myers. He had a long of 25 yards and on 8 targets. He's Trevor's favorite guy. He didn't have a touchdown, but he's pretty damn good. Brenton Strange, he's all reliable. 5 receptions, 39 yards, a touchdown. Even Tim Patrick got in on the action. Tim Patrick's usually good for a 0-0-0-0-0 day, which is like 0 yards receiving, 0 catches, 0 touchdowns. He's usually Mr. 0. They should change his number to 0. He's an absolute bum. And Tim Patrick's sister, who talked mad shit about Trevor Lawrence about 4 weeks ago, calling him a trash quarterback, you owe Trevor Lawrence an apology. I'm not going to get into it. I've shit on Tim Patrick's sister. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm in a good mood tonight, so I'm going to try not to shit on people, but you owe Trevor Lawrence an apology. I owe Trevor Lawrence an apology, honestly. I called him mid a little bit earlier this season, but he's playing out of his mind. You're the man, Trevor. I'm rolling with you until the end of times. Let's keep this man around. And then lastly, man, let me take a sip before I get into this because I'm trying to be nice. Oh, boy. Brian Thomas Jr. So he had 2 receptions for 18 yards. This man's just an enigma. I think he might have had Patrick Surtain like taking him out of the game because Sartan's a incredible defender, maybe the best corner in the league. But Brian Thomas Jr., he just doesn't do a whole lot. He doesn't move the needle, which is just really disappointing after his rookie season where the guy was all pro. He made the Pro Bowl. He was our deep threat. He even had that bum Mac Jones throwing to him, and he just was so dynamic, and you really wanted to see, a follow-up to that, but it's true. He's going through a sophomore slump. I'm going to be nice. I hope you get better, Brian Thomas Jr. I really do. We need you, on a playoff run because this team is headed to the playoffs. Like I said a couple weeks back, I called it. We were going to make the playoffs, and I called this win as well. Call me Nostradamus, honestly. But Brian Thomas Jr., we need you the rest of the season, and that's all I'll say. You're a bum. But I love you, dude. I love you. You're a bum, but I love you, my dude. We always have that person in the family. They're like the black sheep of the family. They're your family. They're your blood. You don't really understand them. I'm not going to name any names in my family, my brother. But no, I love my brother too. But sometimes they just don't make sense to you. I love you, Brian, more than anything. But not more than my wife. Earmuffs, Amanda. But I love you, my dude, my brother. Sometimes you just don't understand them. And I'm sure my brother feels that way about me too. But you love them no matter what. Brian Thomas is kind of like that with this team. He just doesn't make sense sometimes, but you just love them unconditionally because they wear that blue. Just like I love you, B. That's my brother, by the way. Smartest guy I know. True Jags fan, too. Not in the closet. Never was. That we know of. All right. So moving on to the defense. So the defense was pretty good today. They held a pretty damn good Broncos team to, 20 points. I'll take that every day of the week against the Broncos, especially at home. We couldn't get to the quarterback. That still seems to be a problem on this team. We have a really hard time getting to the quarterback. We have two guys that we drafted super high in Josh Hines-Allen and Devin Lloyd and Trayvon Walker. These were guys who were all high draft picks. None of these guys got to the quarterback. These dudes are all good. I've called Trayvon Walker a bum. I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm in a good mood. We all know that we should have drafted Aiden Hutchinson. I couldn't imagine if we had that dude on this team, but Trayvon Walker had a nice game. He was disruptive. He was probably causing the most pressure on Mr. Bo Nix. But like I said, Bo Nix is a squirrely motherfucker. So it was hard to get him down. We created some turnovers, which we really benefited from that. This team is consistently turning over the football or getting turnovers from the other team, which I love. We definitely need that. And I hope that trend continues. We got a fumble in a crucial spot in the game, and we turned it into some points. And then when the Broncos were coming back, we ended up getting an interception. I think that was Jarian Jones. He's having a pretty nice year too. But overall, the defense was definitely serviceable, and I hope they keep playing lights out. So that's enough of the defense. It was really about the offense today. And let's get right into the Trevor watch. So Trevor Lawrence, I might have to change this picture. I always say like the booger watch, like how many INTs that he has. And I always scratch my nose when I bring up this slide. But he had 0 picks this week. This guy's on a roll. He hasn't been turning the ball over. For a little while, I was a little worried midseason because he was quite the turnover machine and he was very susceptible to it. But he's not turning the ball over. And I'm just going to say it and go right into it. Who the Jaguar of the week is. We're jumping right into it. The Jag of the week, you can see here, the best cat in the NFL. When it comes to ranking cats in the NFL, you have the Jaguar, you have the Bengal, you have the Panther. I would put them in that order. The Jaguar has the coolest spots. We have the best uniforms when it comes to the cat teams. The Bengals, those uniforms are okay. The Bengals, I wouldn't want to fuck with a Tiger either. And they're like right mid. The Panthers, their uniforms suck. And Panthers suck too. I feel like I could just punch a Panther to death. No one's scared of a Panther. People survive Panther attacks all the time. You don't hear people surviving Jaguar attacks and Bengal attacks. Just like the Broncos didn't survive the Jaguars today. So the Jags have the best cat in the NFL. And two, the Jag of the week, who else could it be? Trevor Lawrence, a.k.a. Jacksonville Jesus himself. And I just did like, this wasn't hard to find. It's everywhere right now. This man is cooking. As the youth say, he is cooking. This man, since our bye week, has a 6-1 record. He has 18 total touchdowns. This guy has 33 touchdowns on the year. He's not only throwing the ball at a high rate, a high level, scoring touchdowns there, but he's running for a touchdown too. Almost every game he runs for a touchdown. This man, you can't really defend him right now. If you try to put guys into coverage because you're afraid that he's gonna throw the ball around the park, he'll use his legs and pick up a first down, or he'll run for a long touchdown, or he'll do something fucking crazy like he did in the Chiefs game where he fell on his ass, got up again, fell on his ass, got back up and ran for a touchdown. He's just crazy. I love you, my dude. You're wild, and I enjoy watching you. And he's really the man, and he's shredding defenses. Like give the man his flowers. There's nothing you can say about this man except he's balling out of his mind. He's playing at an elite level. I would put him right now as a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I can't think of a better. I mean, there are better quarterbacks, but I can't think of a quarterback that's playing at a better level than him right now over the last few weeks. Over the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been look at the stats. He's legitimately been the best quarterback in the NFL, and we need him. Just like we need Brian Thomas Jr., just like we need ETN, Jacoby Meyer, and Parker Washington. This offense is an absolute fucking juggernaut. We are just rolling through people. The Broncos, I'm going to have to look it up, how many points they've been giving up a game, but we scored 30 points against these dudes. At their home stadium, we went in their house and beat them like a redheaded stepchild. We took them, we even actually one up that. We took them, we went to their house. We pulled them out of their kitchen. We took them behind the woodshed, beat them like a redheaded stepchild, went in their kitchen. We ate all their food, and then we banged their wife. That's what we did today to them. That doesn't happen to the Broncos. And the Jags don't do this, usually. I've been a fan since 2018, and I haven't seen this team play on this level. We had a nice little run in 2002, but man, we are really cooking. And it has to do with all this guy, number 16, the Jacksonville Jesus. I coined that, by the way. I should monetize it because it's a hella good nickname. But I'm too much of a dumbass and an idiot to figure out how to do that. But man, this guy's playing at an elite level. And thank you, Trevor, for restoring faith in you and the Jags. And I think a lot of people owe this man an apology. I look at Jaguar message boards and Facebook, and people shit on this guy. He's been on the Jags for 5 years, and we're about to have 3 winning records underneath this man. And this guy's had like 5 different coaches. He had Urban Meyer. That guy, I go over this every week. That guy was grabbing ass in Ohio. We lost to the Bengals, and instead of going home, flying home with the team, Urban Meyer stayed at an Ohio bar and was grabbing ass, like with some young chica. You know, we were lacking a tight end on the team that year, and he certainly found one in that Ohio bar. And then we had Doug Peterson, who was an okay coach, but the offense was so bland. I mean, I don't know a lot about football, but I remember the formations, and you just knew it was coming. It was going to be like a 2 or 3 yard pass to Evan Ingram. There was no creativity, and our offensive line also sucked. And we gave this man no time. And I've been saying this for years with the Jaguars, and I know we kind of have a makeshift offensive line, and we gave up sacks today, but if you give this man time, he's going to shred you. And that's something that we haven't given Trevor Lawrence a lot of since he's been in Jacksonville. And that's time back there to sit and read the defense. And now Trevor Lawrence is playing amazing in the pocket. He's moving around. He's using his feet. He's throwing the ball on the run. He's playing at a high level. But if you give this man a little bit of time, he will shred you. And hats off to the Great Wall of Duval, the offensive line. They're being more than serviceable. They're having a pretty good season. We did give up 5 sacks today. We do tend to give up sacks against the higher echelon teams like the Seahawks, the Rams, and now the Broncos. But with Trevor Lawrence playing the way he is, we can kind of overcome that a little bit. But let's give this man time. Let's protect him. Honestly, we should protect this man because he is the most important item on this football team and this franchise. We got our franchise quarterback. We need to keep him safe. And thank you, offensive line, for doing that. And that's your Jag of the week. That's Trevor Lawrence. He's the man. He's an absolute dog. Still has the best hair in the NFL, too. There's no arguing that. He might not be the best quarterback in the NFL, but he has the finest hair. The mane of Seabiscuit, I would say, Head and Shoulders commercial. He's head and shoulders better than everyone in the hair department. That's for goddamn sure. And he knows how to win a fucking football game. Has to you, Trevor Lawrence. So, turd of the week. Turd of the week is who I think was the turd. Who was the worst player on the Jags? I'm not going to come after everyone. I'm not going to come after everyone. You're right. I'm not going to come after everyone. I'm not going to come after anyone. I'm not going to come after Brian Thomas Jr. That'd be too easy of a target. The turd of the week, I'm going in a different direction this week. It goes to Richard Sherman. If you're not aware who Richard Sherman is, he is a Hall of Fame cornerback that played for the Seattle Seahawks. When it comes to football, this guy is elite. He was an awesome football player. There's no shitting on him as a football player. He's one of the best to ever do it, and I would never take that away from him. He's a Super Bowl winner. He's a Stanford graduate. He's a very smart man. He's more intelligent than me. He's probably better looking than me. He has more money than me. He doesn't have a hotter wife than me, but no one does. He's a dog. But you suck, my dude, and you're a chode when it comes to an announcer. If you don't know what a chode is, it's a penis that is wider than it is longer. And that is what Richard Sherman is as an announcer. This is your job now. And he wrote and basically admitted, he said he stopped watching the Jaguars a week ago and he only comments when they're losing. That's one, being unfair, and two, not being good at your job. Overall, you're an announcer, and he said the reason why is because their fans are obnoxious. Richard Sherman, I hate to tell you, buddy, and I would tell myself this as well, you're obnoxious. I can be very obnoxious. But Richard Sherman is historical for being very fucking obnoxious. And you're upset because of the Jaguar fans? Go sit in the stands during a Jaguar game. You'll never meet some of the nicer people in your entire life. I treat every away fan that comes to the games with respect. Like I never go after them. I always am nice to them. I try to tell them where to go in the stadium that's nice. It's because it's hot. I always tell them to go to the daily place. I tell them where the good food stands are. I'm super nice, and there's super respectful people here in Jacksonville. I don't know what the hell you're on, my man, and you're an absolute turd for not watching this team, and you should, because they're one of the best teams in the NFL. So, my dude, you suck, and you're a chode at your new job. Go back to playing football, maybe. I don't know. And then also, all right, so this image to the right here. This was posted by a Texans fan, and I'm going to put up another little picture here on the left. You can look at this. I don't understand Texans fans. You guys also suck, and you're also chodes. I can't stand Texans fans. They're the worst. I'm on the shared Facebook group between AFC South fans, which has a collection of Titans fans, it has a collection of Colts fans, it has some Texans fans, and it has Jags fans. And the worst people on this board are by far Texans fans. Titans, I can't stand the Titans either. I went into a long, drawn-out story about the Titans. They ruined my family vacation in 2023 when I went up there for the playoff game. Not because the Jags lost, but because they verbally abused me. They talk shit then at my 2-year-old son. He's a 2-year-old. They talk shit about him. They said homophobic slurs at him, which I'm not down with. Yeah, they suck. And then to top it off, not only did we lose, but after the game, we went to a bar and I saw a Titans fan hitting on my wife. So I draw the line there. They suck, but Texans fans are so damn annoying. And even before the game, they were talking so much shit about the Jags that they were gonna lose against the Broncos. And this was just one example. They posted this. Word on the street, Denver is about to put belt to ass. Just shut up. God, Texans fans are so annoying. Your team is pretty darn good too. You don't need to talk so much shit. Play your own game. Seriously. They're so annoying posting this up, and it didn't go out. It didn't go as planned for you guys. I hope we see you in the playoffs, which I'm going to go over here in a second. I'm not afraid of the Texans. CJ Stroud is a chode. That's another thing too. These Texans fans glaze the shit out of CJ Stroud. My God, CJ Stroud is an okay quarterback, but the way these Texans fans post about him, they talk about him like he's the second coming of Christ, which there's only one Jacksonville Jesus, and there's really only one God. And I really play God. Don't strike me down when I talk about Jacksonville Jesus. But CJ Stroud is pretty mid. Like, honestly, that dude, he doesn't move the needle for me. And I watch a lot of football, and CJ Stroud, honestly, Davis Mills, in my opinion, is better than CJ Stroud. That guy's gave us the business way more than CJ Stroud's ever gave us the business. I would have to look up the stats, but CJ Stroud he usually loses to us. And Davis Mills, that guy wins. So I don't know. I don't get the hype around CJ Stroud, and their fans are just so annoying. I'm not going to call them terrible people, but you guys are fucking annoying. And you guys are the turds of the week, both you two. Richard Sherman and Texans fans, you guys just suck and are chodes. And that sums up this slide. So here's a quick outlook about where the playoffs are right now. So you can see I just took a screenshot of this off of Google not too long ago, and there's a game currently on which Baltimore is winning, surprisingly, against the Patriots. And I don't even think Lamar Jackson is playing. I think he got hurt. Like I said, with all the injuries this year, you have to be a real sick fuck to root for other teams getting injured and other players getting injured. I'm going to post a picture of someone that does that, who is talking shit about Mahomes getting injured. I don't like seeing that. You have to be a sick shit to enjoy that. My friend is that guy, Shane Wart, the guy I talked about earlier, that's a closet Jags fan. I don't want to see Lamar Jackson get hurt either. I hope that guy's well. And I say a prayer for all these guys. There was a lot of hurt players on the Jags and the Broncos today. That wide receiver at the end, I can't remember his name, but I hope you're all right, my dude. God bless you. And I hope you're walking and all that. It was a very rough game, and football's a tough sport, but I'm getting off into a tangent, but I wish everyone great health. And let's do a quick outlook of what's going on with the playoff standings. So right now we're sitting at a solid third. This could easily change tonight with the Patriots losing. I think I saw a stat that if the Jags win out and the Denver Broncos or the Patriots lose a game the rest of the year, that we would end up with the number 1 seed. So we don't control our destiny, but we have a pretty damn easy road the rest of the year. If you look at it, we're playing the Titans, our last game of the season, which is at home. I'm going to try to go to that game. I'm sure my friend Zachary Baker, the closeted Jags fan, will be there. And then we also have the Colts, which we're going on the road next week and playing those guys, which have Phillip Rivers, which I hope that guy's okay too, man. He's probably sore as hell from the last game, and he looks every bit of 44. I think we can win out. Honestly, this was our tough game. Everyone had the big question mark with this one if we were going to beat those guys. And we did. We shocked the world. Sure as hell didn't shock me because I predicted that shit. I called 21-24. So I was in the ballpark. I didn't think that the Jags would hang 30 or what was the final score? 34 or whatever it was on those guys. Incredible stuff from the Jags. But yeah, we have a relatively easy schedule going forward. And then I have the Broncos games left. They play the Chiefs, looks like at the Chiefs, and then they play the Chargers at home. Now, I don't know what the Chiefs have left, what they're playing for, or what they have left in the tank, honestly. It's tough to say. Pride at this point. I know going into Arrowhead is a tough place to go and play at. They have a ton of fans. They're crazy too. They're also pretty big chodes. Their fans, not quite as big of chodes as Texans fans or Titans fans, but they're pretty chode. Like, no one likes the Chiefs except if you live in Kansas City. So, but I'll be rooting for them to beat the Broncos. So that's not an easy game. And then you have the Chargers at home. I don't know if the Chargers have the cojones to come and beat the Broncos at home. Justin Herbert is a wannabe Trevor Lawrence. They're basically Justin Herbert, and I went over this in my video of the Jags and the Chargers. Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence, I think, have the same parents. They're both the same height. They're like 6'6". They are both 200 some pounds. They're both tall. They both had long hair at one point. They both have good looking wives. They both have cannons for an arm. They both can run. The only difference is Trevor Lawrence is a dog and actually wins games, and he wins playoff games, and he's beat Justin Herbert every time they played. I would love to play the Chargers again in the playoffs, which I'll go over here. These are some of the potential opponents here on the left. I would love to play the Chargers again because we beat their ass in 2022. We beat their ass this year. We would surely beat their ass again. Like I said in my video, no one likes the Chargers. I know one dude that I work with who's a great guy. He's the only Chargers fan that I know. No one likes the Chargers. Even in LA, no one likes the Chargers. Everyone's a Rams fan, and even no one likes the Rams. When the Rams won a championship, no one went to that parade. Could you imagine if the Chargers won a championship? I think the only person that would go to the parade is this dude that I worked with. He would fly out there and he'd be one-on-one. But I digress. The Chargers, I hope they beat the Broncos, and that would help us climb up the charts. And then the Patriots, I still have this game on. The Patriots just scored, it looks like. So they're narrowing the score. It's 24-19 now. But New England, they have a pretty easy road. I don't see them losing any more games except maybe this one right here. Go Baltimore. They play the Jets, and who are sorry as hell. And the Dolphins, who are also sorry as hell. And their coach, the Dolphins coach, does a shit ton of cocaine. That dude's boogie shoogied out. It's crazy. But as you can see, I just dropped my phone. As you can see, cheers. The Jags should be making the playoffs. Now it's just about where we're going to finish seedings wise. So I hope we end up getting the number 1 seat in a first round bye, but I think we'll win the division at this point. I don't think we're going to lose a game. I think the Texans have a pretty easy schedule. They play Indianapolis and some other bums. I don't see them losing another game, but just the way that, it's stacked up, we're going to win the division, which is great. We might even get the first seat. So some potential playoff teams that we're playing, we could play. We could play the Chargers. We could play the Bills, potentially the Texans or the Colts. And maybe even depending on the outcome of the games, it could be even outside shot at Pittsburgh or Baltimore. None of these teams really scare me after the way the Jags played against the Broncos. Those guys are pretty damn good. It's wide open in the AFC. Honestly, any team could, I just picked my nose like Trevor Lawrence, but any team could make it to the Super Bowl. I would love for the Texans to make the playoffs and have to come to Duval. Oh man, nothing would make me happier than beating the fucking Texans. I hate them. Buffalo, that would probably be my least likely team that I want to play because with all due respect, Josh Allen, not our Josh Hines Allen, the Josh Allen on the Bills is Superman. That guy, he's a baller. He's proven it year after year, and he can just pull shit out of his ass. He's magic. I'd be really hesitant to wanting to play those guys, but bring on the Chargers, bring on the Texans, bring on the Colts, bring on anyone. I like our outlook. Outlook is good. And that brings me right to the Buckman Bridge watch, which is your boy lives to see another week. I'm safe from the Buckman Bridge. No crazy thoughts. We're having a good year. There's a lot of good to take from this year, regardless of how it finishes. I'm happy. I said to my brother, I love you, my dude. I said to my wife, I love you, my wife. I said to my best friend, Shane, I love you, my dude. I know I talk shit about you guys sometimes, but I love you. And I said to all of them, I'd just be happy if the Jaguars make the playoffs, which I think we are going to. Anything that happens after that, whether we get a win in the playoffs, whether we make it to the divisional round or the AFC Championship, I'm not going to say Super Bowl. I don't think we're ready for that. Other people are throwing that word around. That would be crazy. If we make the Super Bowl, I'd want to win it. I don't want to go all the way there just to lose it. There's a lot of hope for this team. We have Liam Cohn. He's a great coach. We have Trevor Lawrence. He's coming into his own, and he finally has a coach that I think is getting through to him and helping him out. The Great Wall of Duval is certainly giving them some time. We have some wide receivers. If it's not Jacoby, it's Parker Washington, who's easily becoming this number 2 on this team. We even have BTJ, who has a lot of potential. I hope you do well the rest of the season, my guy. I respect you a lot as a player, even though you tanked my fantasy football team. I'll never forgive you for that, but you're like family to me. Forgive, but don't forget. He has a lot of potential, and I hope he's doing well. He has a good rest of the year. We have Travis Etienne. We didn't even have Bashal Tootin today, who's another weapon. This Jags offense is completely loaded, and it's crazy because we don't have our number 2 draft pick in Travis Hunter. I couldn't even imagine if he was out there too. We have so many weapons everywhere. This team is loaded. It's dangerous. Our offense is absolutely cooking, and our defense, it might not be elite, but it does enough. I hope the pass rush really gets going the rest of the season and we start getting after the quarterback. I have the most faith in you, Josh Hines Allen, and Devin Lloyd, even you, Trayvon Walker. Whatever steroids Josh Hines Allen here on the left and Devin Lloyd here on the right are on, please give it to Trayvon Walker because they're sauced up. They scare the shit out of me. They should scare the shit out of other opposing teams. And the defense is creating turnovers, so there's a lot to be thankful to. We have a great kicker, Cam Little. He's an absolute dog. That guy's built like a 16-year-old girl, but can kick the ball a fucking mile. I love it. And then we have our punter, Logan Cook, who's probably the top 2-3 at least top 5 punter in the NFL, and he talks a lot of shit, which I really like. Everything's looking up. The only disappointing thing that I have to report is this team's not going to be in Jacksonville next year. We could have a very exciting and dynamic team that's playing in Orlando while our new stadium is being built, and we won't be able to watch them, which is kind of sad. But yeah, if you're still watching, thank you for listening to me rant. I really appreciate everyone that watches these videos. Please like and subscribe. I do this for fun. Maybe one day this will make me some money if I get monetized and I won't be so poor, and maybe I can afford another blue light for my production. The only other thing that I want to touch on briefly, which drove me nuts today, and this has nothing to do with the Jaguars, but it has to do with football in general, is the refereeing in this league is fucking terrible on both sides. The Jaguars got some calls today, like the roughing the passer on Trevor Lawrence, which was just fucking insane. I don't know what this body weight or landing on top of the quarterback call is, but it's bullshit. For the Broncos fans, I'm sorry you got fleeced on that. And then all these roughing roughing the defenseless wide receiver or whatever the hell they want to call it. They're just making it very difficult to play football. You wouldn't have seen this 10 years ago. I really care about the health of these guys. Honestly, I'm a God-fearing man, and I would never root for an injury like a sick fuck that I know, my buddy Shane. But they're taking the fun out of the sport, and I don't know how the defenders can play when they're calling people that aren't going helmet to helmet and just hitting players good, solid, clean hits. You're calling penalties. The refs were atrocious today. I hope that gets better because I really don't want us to win a championship. God forbid, I'm not calling that. I don't want us to win a championship or win a playoff game because of some bullshit officiating. I want it to be fair and square, and it needs to change. NFL changed that. I don't know what to do to make it better, but football's a rough sport. These guys know what they're signing up for. That's all I'm going to say about that. Do better, refs. You guys suck. You guys are the turds of the league too, bums. But thanks for watching this video, and I'll end off with a Duval. Take it away, Liam.
Jacksonville, the community. Duval. How do we do this together?